Dr. Smith, you've heard me talk a lot about what you've done for the system. I'm going to take this one a little bit personal and just tell you what you've done for my family. As a parent, as a former product of Montgomery County Public Schools, I can't say that I haven't been more proud. During your tenure, I've had a daughter who's graduated and matriculated on to college. And let me just tell you how that experience has been. You know, she went through a year of COVID to where she didn't get to walk across the graduation stage. She didn't get to have a prom. Her last senior year was interrupted and was really in the wind in terms of what would happen with college, whether or not they'd be in person, whether or not they'd have it at all was the discussion. There was so much that was going on that just was uncertain. But the interesting thing is that as my wife and I pride ourselves on what we were able to instill in her, I have to give credit to the school system as well for establishing that resilience in our daughter, for making sure that she understood that she needed to continue to do what she could do in her control. And the rest was, you know, up to folks who would have to make decisions, but understanding how the world works, understanding what it was that you could do and what your responsibility and what your role plays was tremendous. And it was instrumental in terms of where she is now, finishing up. She just finished her exams this past week and is now taking some classes in summer school so that she will actually graduate 1 year early from college. Because of the AP classes that she was afforded, because of the great work that her teachers did in preparing her, my daughter's on a great track. And I don't say that to brag. I don't say that as the chair of the Education and Culture Committee and somehow we are gifted with something that no one else has. The reality is that when you said all means all, you made sure that that was there for everyone. And I know that my daughter and my wife, my family as a whole hate it when I talk about them. But the reality is that I couldn't be more proud. I couldn't be more proud to live in a county that has a tremendous school system like Montgomery County Public Schools. That afforded her so many opportunities as she now is about to start her internship at Lake Forest Animal Hospital and do some great work there over the summer as she goes to a career pathway to become a veterinarian. Dr. Smith, I thank you, sir. I thank you on behalf of my wife and my family for what you have done for my child, because I know that that story isn't unique. We can go all across this county and talk to parents about the great things that MCPS meant for their children and how they were able to ensure that their futures were bright. Now, I do know, as you and I have discussed, we still have more work to be done because not everyone still is experiencing that sort of result. But we have done so much to expand those opportunities. When I look at how many children have been able to take AP classes and under your leadership and tenure has expanded exponentially in terms of those who are not only taking the AP classes, but also getting a score of a 3 or better. Those students who are scoring higher in reading and math at 3rd and 5th grade levels, all of that is under your leadership. You have certainly done no harm. In fact, sir, you have done us a great service. And so I really just want to say thank you on behalf of all of the parents of Montgomery County Public Schools for your dedicated support, for your leadership, for your vision, and for taking our school system to new heights. We truly are indebted to your service, and I wish you nothing but the best and success as you go on to your retirement and now take care of your family like you've taken care of ours. Thank you very much, and I'll turn it over to Councilmember Duwanda.
Thank you, Chairman Rice and Dr. Smith. Another bittersweet day here. I was reflecting on this last night that we have really a complete transformation happening in our education system and infrastructure here in the county at the same time, with your departure, and also Dr. Pollard at Montgomery College. And, you know, I don't want to get teary saying this, but next year, my colleagues on the Education and Culture Committee, and Councilmember Rice and Navarro, and obviously there's always transition. And so we're at a really important inflection point over the next year or so. But I'm so happy that it's not, you know, we're not freaking out because, you know, to put a precise term on it, because you've laid the foundation. And to all the comments Councilmember Rice just said, in your tenure, you focused on every child, you focused on equity, you focused on inclusion, you focused on putting in the systemic changes in place that are going to lead to long-term prosperity and growth for every student. And that's not easy work. It's not quick work. It's something that is going to continue, but you've done it in a way in your decisions and how you've proceeded, and the leadership choices you've made, the fact that Dr. McKnight will step in ready to go. She's ready to go now. You know, I've often said this, but I try to model what you do and how you display leadership with your staff, and you often step aside to allow others to step forward. And I think that's why we're going to be okay as you transition. You know, it's going to be a loss, but we're going to be okay because you put a really good team in place. So thank you on behalf of all of our 160,000 plus students and their families. I count myself among them with my children. And I just really think that you've put us on a great path, and wish you all the best as you transition to this next phase. So congratulations, thank you, and I hope you'll still return our calls when we have a question about something. So.
Councilmember Navarro.
Thank you, Chairman Rice. So, you know, Dr. Smith, I have the distinction on this council to have served for 5 years on the Board of Education, and had the also honor of being president 2 years in a row. And one of the things that I began to reflect on in terms of my experience on the Board of Education was how here in Montgomery County, we tend to hear the negative, what's not working, you know, that is what you tend to hear almost every day. But then anytime we stepped out of Montgomery County, it was almost like a twilight zone, because the feedback that we would always receive and the observations was about how Montgomery County Public Schools always led the way in terms of best practices, and other jurisdictions would emulate those best practices. And so there's always been that interesting sort of bubble situation. And when I reflect on my time there, I remember getting into a point where I could predict which clusters would come to testify and ask, for example, for interpretation services or translation equipment. And by the time I left, so we're talking 2004, 2009, I could no longer predict that. And I say that as an anecdote of how the school system has absolutely shifted throughout the years, and how today we have a school system, the 14th largest in the nation, that is 73% children of color. We always talk about how our farms, when you look at our farms rate in total, is larger than the DC public schools component. Here's the thing though, it's also an extraordinarily high quality, high functioning school system. And it is not easy to step into the role that you stepped in, because the sort of perception and the stereotypes that exist out there is that, of course, when you have a very diverse school system, you know, oh, what's going to happen to the quality of education, as if excellence is somehow finite. And you have been able to lead this school system and demonstrate that excellence is not finite, that opening access to all students provides that very important opportunity for our wonderful, brilliant students to know that, yes, we expect you to learn. We have high expectations for you. And that if we provide the supports, they will always step up and they will always demonstrate that. You've led that, and you've done it in a very courageous fashion, but while also being very humble and willing to listen. And so a few things that I recall from your time here that I so much appreciated was your willingness to look at expanding dual language programs. When I came to you and said, this notion of opening access to more people to become bilingual, right? For students to be bilingual, it's an asset model because ESOL students will see language as an asset, and children who want to learn the other language also see language as an asset, and therefore they can help each other and not then be stigmatized in ESOL thinking that somehow being bilingual, it's a deficit. And you said, yeah, let's give this a try, right? We looked at the waiting lines, the waiting list for our Spanish immersion program, for example, and realized that, what the key is expand more dual language schools and programs. And you were right there. The BEL program, which was a very interesting collaboration and partnership. You said, yeah, let's go ahead and do this, right? Let's jump on that. Let's do it. Whether it was, the equity hubs, the way of shifting the perception of vocational education. So important to align it with the economic development opportunities of today, really shifting the narrative. That is so important. The breadth of just student supports and your willingness to say they need to be culturally appropriate, right? Because let's look at who we are. Let's look at the percentage of students who are students of color, and let's figure out a way to recognize that saying that we're colorblind is not the way to go. The talking about the melting pot is not the way to go. We're like a salad, right? We are together, but we maintain our individual flavors. That is not an easy thing to do while leading an organization of this size, while leading the 14th largest school system in the country. And so I take my hat off to you. I hope that, as Councilmember Jawanda was saying, that we all learn lessons from you and how to be able to leave a legacy and how to lead with humility. It is often said that it's not what you say, but how you make people feel. And I know that when you came to Montgomery County, at least for me, you made me feel like you were somebody that was going to be accessible, that was willing to listen, but also was not afraid to take the difficult decisions. And that is exactly what you have proven. And so thank you for coming here and for leading the school system and for benefiting so many students and families. And I wish you all the best to you and your family. I think that you leave hopefully knowing that your time here has just built the stepping stone to take the system to the next level. And for that, I think we owe you greatly. Muchas gracias, Dr. Smith.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Navarro, and thank you to my colleagues from the Education and Culture Committee. We are now going to turn to our council colleagues who are no strangers to you, Dr. Smith. So let me start with Vice President Albornoz. And if we could ask for brief remarks so that I see the Council President is anxious to get us started. I know we have a big day today. So Vice President Albornoz.
I'm not rushing this event.
No, the Education and Culture Committee did such a great job, and I made some comments from the dais last week. Just Dr. Smith, thank you for your leadership, your partnership, your humility, your vision, and it's just been an honor working with you, sir, and congratulations in your retirement. Your family is the big winner in all of this, and we look forward to hopefully working with you in some different capacity in the future. Thanks so much.
Councilmember Friedson.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to add to the appreciation and gratitude for your service. I got to see you work at the state level when I was working in the comptroller's office, and the Board of Public Works was a part of my portfolio way back in the day when school construction went to the Board of Public Works, and got to see your humility and your brand of leadership of really collaborating and utilizing the folks around you. And that's really built from here. And in this new role, I appreciate all of your continued service, your commitment to our children, and just really appreciate everything that you've done. And we're very happy for you and your ability to spend time with your family and take care of your family, as you've been trying to take care of so many families in Montgomery County. So well deserved. And We wish you the best and hope you stay close and continue to call on us as we hope we can continue to call on you in your next stage of your life. Thanks.
Councilmember Glass.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Dr. Smith, you're leaving at an interesting time, having gone through this last year, as we all have, and it was a year of crisis and struggle and also adaptation. And I think what you have been able to do over this last year with the entire MCPS team of stand-up policies and procedures and adaptations to our curricula, that will be one of your lasting legacies. And while we transition back into the classroom later this year, start of next year, those policies will remain and will continue to be adapted as technology and other societal needs require them. So thank you for that. Thank you for your dedication, and wish you safe travels and much love with your family up in Maine.
Councilmember Katz.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Rice. And the Education and Culture Committee certainly has done a wonderful job, and I don't want to repeat, but I've had the honor of knowing many superintendents over the years, and David Elserode, if anybody remembers, his father was the superintendent of Montgomery County Public Schools way back when, and David and I graduated high school together. And so I've seen many. I always recall that Superintendent Jerry Wiest one night told me that, and in those days, I believe there was 140,000 students. We've grown substantially since, but it was 140,000 students and 20,000 employees. And he turned to me and he says, "What are the chances of everybody having a good day the same day?" And obviously it's none. And Dr. Smith, you have had, and you and your team have had to deal with that on a continual basis. You're dealing with the most precious people that we have, our students, our children. And so you've done a marvelous job. You've done an outstanding job during perhaps one of the most trying times in the history of Montgomery County Public Schools. A pandemic is certainly something that no one could have thought about and would have had those thoughts. But I am just so thankful that you were here. I am so very sorry that you are not going to be here, but I know you're being replaced by people who certainly will step up and do a magnificent job as well. But I am very, very proud to call you my friend, and I hope for you and your family the very, very best. Thank you very much for all that you have done.
Councilmember Reamer.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Thank you, Mr. Rice. Our committee has done a marvelous job expressing our views, but for me, Dr. Smith, you have been a leader who has embodied two traits that I really think are so important. One is collaboration. You just have made it possible for people to work on ideas together while moving them forward towards a goal. And that's hard to do, but it was just so clear from the moment you took the helm that that was your approach. And I think you got great results. But not only have you been collaborative, but you've been decisive. And that's another difficult element to bring into that kind of mix where you're bringing people together at the same time you're getting things done and moving it forward. And I think the results have been marvelous. I want to thank you for initiating a acceleration and recovery plan. As you have worked through this difficult year. We really have a big job ahead of us. I hope you'll check back with us and keep tabs on how you think we're doing, and maybe even send us some suggestions about what we might want to take a look at. But it's going to be a difficult road the next couple of years, as I think the whole education sector has been so tested by this really awful pandemic. So thank you for having the organizational capacity to put into place the measures that we put into place, and look forward to building on your work as we go forward. And just again, personally, you're just such an easy person to work with, and I wouldn't have I could have known, but I didn't know just how important that was until I saw it in you. And thank you for that very much.
Thank you very much to all of my council colleagues. Dr. Smith, we are about to turn it over to you in a second, but first we have to embarrass you one more time with a proclamation. So my education and culture colleagues, if you're ready and know your paragraphs, I'll start us off. Proclamation of the Montgomery County Council. Whereas Dr. Jack Smith has served as the superintendent of the Montgomery County Public Schools since 2016, when he brought his distinguished educational background, passion for equity and learning, and resolute focus on the expansion of access and opportunity for all students. And
whereas under his inclusive leadership, Dr. Smith ensured an equity lens was applied to all aspects of public education within the school system. With his commanding call to action, which we all know, all means all, that prioritizes that students have the academic, creative, problem-solving, and social-emotional skills in place to meet their full potential and to be successful in college, career, and community. And
whereas Dr. Smith's leadership drove the equity and achievement framework, providing a purpose, path, and plan for success that resulted in increased dual enrollment in college level programs with students earning an associate degree simultaneously with the high school diploma, and expansion of bilingual programs with the accompanying promotion of the Maryland Seal of Biliteracy. And
whereas Dr. Smith continued to lead Montgomery County Public Schools through a worldwide pandemic that resulted in the unexpected closure of school buildings for more than a year, causing a quick shift in the creation of distance learning that required new curriculum, training, and logistical support for staff, students, and their families. Dr. Smith, with great personal sacrifice, supported our county with resilient grace, staunch leadership, and a deep caring concern for our students and their families. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the County Council of Montgomery County, Maryland hereby honors Dr. Jack, all means all Smith, and be it further resolved that the County Council shares our deepest gratitude for the valuable and long-lasting impact he has made on the students and residents of Montgomery County, Maryland, presented this 18th day in May of the year 2021, signed by myself, my colleagues, and our council president, Tom Hucker. Congratulations, Dr. Smith. And again, thank you. The floor is yours, sir.
So I really can't express how much your words touch me. It has been an absolute pleasure, and I mean that sincerely, to work with every one of you on many different things. I recognize every day, and when I get grumpy, I remind myself, few superintendents have what I have, which is a local government that deeply cares about students, their opportunities, their access, and their future contributions and benefits from this community. And I just, I'd hoped to stay a couple more years. Family circumstances have shifted for all of us in different ways, but I will look at this county all the time, wish for everything to go really well. And I just got to repeat what Councilmember Navarro said. Our students have infinite talents, potential, possibility. They are amazing. And anybody who says otherwise must be refuted and said, stop. The students of 2021 are as great as the students of 2000, 1990, 1970, 1940. And actually it's better because we have better, more equitable opportunities for all students. We're not there yet, but we'll get there. And so please know that my affection for this community is immense, and my appreciation for you is just incredible. And I look across the landscape and see so many places where so many people fight. And when adults fight, children never, ever benefit from that. And you guys are terrific. And I wish you each and every one all the best, and be safe and take care. And I'm very sad sitting here in my office today, knowing that this is coming to an end, but I'm also happy to be reunited with my wife, who's been doing the childcare thing for the last year and a half in Maine. So all the best and take care. And I will always take a call from any of you. You have my phone number for any reason. So all the best. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Smith. And when we look back, we certainly, when we achieve that moment where it is everyone, we will certainly look back and acknowledge your great contribution to that success and why that happened. So thank you very much. To you, Mr. President, back to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Smith. All the best.